Like he's leading that country on a road to legitimate communism. It's very dangerous. And I think most Canadians are fed up with it at this point. It's just like the party up there has so much control. And he's been forced to resign, so he's got to step down. And just hopefully they don't get some new slick talker to con them into the same old bullshit. Hopefully someone comes along that has like real meaningful change.
Yeah.
And it works in America because we have the First Amendment and we have the Second Amendment, and those two things work together. And if we didn't have those things, we would be genuinely fucked, because every government wants to eventually completely and totally control its population because it's way easier for them to make money. And that's what they like to do.
Yeah.
They like to make money. They like to be in bed with the lobbyists and the military-industrial complex and the pharmaceutical-industrial complex, and they like to fucking impose their will on people. And if you can't express yourself and say, hey, this is fucked up, this is crazy, why am I doing this? Like, these studies show that you're not correct. Like, if you can't say all those things, which right now you can't do in Canada, it's not the same. Like, their ability to express themselves on the internet has been severely limited. It's real weird, man. It's real weird, and it's happening right. You could walk there. If you wanted to, you could walk there. And it's fucked. It's like it's on the same patch of land as us, and it's fucked. It just shows you what can happen here if you don't have the right laws. Because people like that fuckhead, Justin, they pretend
you guys
that
are on first name basis.
Yeah, that cocksucker. They pretend that they're, and I don't talk this way about anybody.
No, I'm really surprised.
I genuinely despise people like that. And I think it's good to say it publicly because people need to understand like what these people are doing. These people are leading you on the road to legitimate communism. All right. Okay, you communist. Using that bullshit metric system.
They really are right now, too.
They are. They're full on.
I never thought it would happen that fast.
Bro, it's so bad. I'm worried that my podcast is going to be censored in Canada because they just pass some new fucking legislation where they're allowed to. Like the whole idea is like it's under the guise of Canadian content because they have a Canadian content law where they like you have to have a certain amount of Canadian-based content on like the radio and television and stuff like that. But really, it's Trudeau trying to enforce censorship on podcasts because.
But they always do it in the cover, and every dangerous freedom censoring group does it under this idea of they're doing it for the greater good.
Yes.
You know, it's like whether it's diversity, equity, and inclusion, or it's making sure that not disinformation or misinformation is being populated within the masses. It's always through this veil of, no, it's for your benefit. But you pull the veil back a little bit and it's just censorship.
It's just control.
Yeah, they're just trying to manipulate what information's available for people to try to base their opinions off of.
This period where we're all experiencing a lot of change. Change in interest rates, change in the world order, change in the environment, change in the way we work, change in culture. All this change can be disorienting. But this is why the choices we make right now are so consequential. Because the world is going through change. And we need to make sure that this change benefits Canadians.
As you can also see, Canada is a place of free expression, where individuals and communities are free to express themselves openly and strongly. We thank them for sharing their perspectives. Merci beaucoup. Merci d'être ici. Being a democracy doesn't mean we all agree. It means we all work together, we all listen to each other, we all respect each other, and that's how we move forward on doing the most important thing in front of us, which is protecting nature.
at the same time social responsibility. It will be a young world. It will be a digital world. Now, who could represent such a world better than you, Prime Minister?
Today, we are gathered here to contemplate whether we are in the stages of the fourth industrial revolution about to begin. What a breathtaking possibility that is. Building back better means getting support to the most vulnerable while maintaining our momentum on reaching the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs.
Hard choice, because in my country, for 150 years, you could trust the basic institutions. You could trust the government. It didn't matter what political party was running it. You could trust the political parties, right from the socialists over to the conservatives. The socialists were mostly union types, and they were trying to give the working class a voice, and honestly so. You could trust the media. Even the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation was a reliable source of news. None of that's true now.
The people of Ottawa don't deserve to be harassed in their own neighborhoods. They don't deserve to be confronted with the inherent violence of a swastika flying on a street corner, or a Confederate flag, or the insults and jeers just because they're wearing a mask. That's not who Canadians are. The way social media has been weaponized both by foreign actors and by people within Canada pushing extremist views, trying to foment anger and discord, whether it's extremist ideology and right-wing terrorism on the rise in Canada, or whether it's examples like the illegal protests we saw in the winter.
All right, so
I can hardly even look at him.
Here's the first question. How can discourse in a great democracy have become so polarized that Jordan Peterson and the Prime Minister look at exactly the same set of events and come to opposite conclusions about them?
Well, he's lying, and I'm not. So that's a big part of the issue. I don't believe that he ever says a word that's true. From what I've been able to observe, it's all stage acting. He's crafted a persona. He has a particular instrumental goal in mind, and everything is subordinated to serve that.
Why?
So,
what's the motivation?
The same motivation that's generally typical of people who are narcissistic, which is to be accredited with moral virtue in the absence of the work necessary to actually attain it.
All right.
He's playing a role.
It was always fun. I loved it up there. I just love the attitude of the place. I've met so many cool people in Canada. But now, the way Trudeau is running it, it scares the shit out of me. I'm like, you guys are sliding into communism. You're sliding every day. They push a little bit further, a little bit further.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't get rid of that guy, if you don't turn that thing around.
King of podcasts, Joe Rogan, had this to say recently about Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Let's listen.
Canada is communist.
Canada's crazy.
They're They got to get rid of that guy.
How much time does he have? I feel like he's been prime minister for a while. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't know how their system works up there. I have zero understanding of their system.
Yeah.
I never looked into it at all. I just liked him. I liked him before the pandemic.
Trudeau?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, he's a handsome guy.
Yeah.
Seems sweet.
Yeah.
You know, it's like good looking guy, confident, good talker.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, I'm like, oh, you're a dictator.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't like criticism. You're trying to shut down criticism by saying that all your critics are misogynists and racists.
Yeah.
You hear he said that about the trucking people, the truckers?
He called them
all misogynists and racists.
Oof.
Yeah, he's gross. He's a sketchy guy.
Yeah.
And he's got some shaky deals. I would like to see like where the money is coming from. Like why do you want everybody to get injected every 4 months? They don't need that anymore. Like what are we doing? What are you doing? You can't even get into Canada unless you're vaccinated.